Good evening. A 19-year-old man is dead after an interaction with Toronto police this morning in Mississauga.
According to police, the incident began with a firearms investigation and ended with an officer opening fire into the vehicle being driven by the teen. Tonight, the province's police watchdog is investigating. Our Janice Golding is live tonight at the scene with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, Ontario's police watchdog is investigating a police-involved shooting here on a dead-end residential street in the Winston Churchill and Dundas area of Mississauga. As loved ones look on, a teen's body is driven away in a coroner's van. One woman, so overcome by grief, she collapses on the ground while paramedics and others come to her assistance.
The mom and the aunt was like yelling that they killed the boy.
This is the aftermath of a crash between a Mercedes and 3 unmarked police cruisers that ended in a 19-year-old's death.
The Mercedes T-boned some minivan that was like backed up into it, and the doors were all open and stuff, so I just thought maybe it was a fight that went out of hand.
Will lives on Delphi Road and says he heard the crash outside his home around 12:20 a.m. and almost immediately the sounds of gunfire.
I ran up to the scene, and the officers were giving a guy a heart massage, like trying to resuscitate him. And it was just going crazy, and then they were securing the scene, but blood everywhere.
Meanwhile, Alex was in her hot tub when she heard a series of loud bangs, so she ran out to see what was happening.
I could hear people yelling that someone had been shot, people calling out to call 911. I could see a person on the ground, and someone was giving them chest compressions.
Originally, the Special Investigations Unit said 5 unmarked cruisers were tracking a stolen Mercedes. However, police clarified this afternoon the car was not stolen.
All I'll say at this point is an investigation regarding somebody who was armed. Our police officers will go where their criminal investigations lead them. That is an investigation that started in Toronto, concluded in Peel, and the SIU's invoked their mandate.
The SIU confirms there was an interaction between 3 unmarked cars and the Mercedes.
There is no indication of there being an exchange of gunfire, but I can tell you that there were 2 firearms located in the vicinity of the Mercedes. The officer who discharged the firearm was standing outside on the roadway and then shot into the Mercedes vehicle through the driver's side.
There were 3 occupants inside the Mercedes, aside from the driver.
It was very scary. It was very scary. And after a while, it was a very, very long time, they took out 2 young boys and a girl handcuffed.
The SIU says the passengers in the Mercedes were uninjured. However, a police officer was taken to hospital with minor injuries after being struck. The SIU says the officer whose actions are being investigated, namely the officer who discharged the firearm, is not the officer who was struck and taken to hospital. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Toronto's police chief says 2 arrests have been made in the deadly shooting at Salsa on St. Clair last month. Myron Demkew told reporters that police have apprehended those believed to be responsible for the shooting. 2 men were killed, 5 others were seriously injured in an exchange of gunfire at the festival on the evening of July 11th. More details are expected at a news conference tomorrow.
Also tonight, another SickKids employee arrested, charged in a child exploitation investigation. What we know about the accused and the allegations mere weeks after a doctor at the same hospital was arrested. Toronto police have announced 2 arrests in last week's shooting at the U.S. Consulate.
It was the second time this year bullets were fired at the building, and now for the second time, police have charged teenagers and allege they're acting as part of a guns for hire operation. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has the latest.
This is the moment at least 1 shot was fired at the U.S. Consulate in downtown Toronto, sparking a Canada-wide national security investigation.
2 males, one 19 years old and the other just 15 years old, are now in custody and facing multiple criminal charges.
The teens, according to police, who are said to have been driving this white Honda Accord with no license plate, were lured by a gun-for-hire scheme playing out on encrypted messaging applications.
Criminals are exploiting encrypted technology to recruit young people and coordinate serious criminal acts.
Online recruiting is also believed to have been a factor in another shooting at Toronto's U.S. Consulate on March 10th of this year. In that case, bullets were aimed near the front doors, where just inside a portrait of President Donald Trump hangs. Multiple separate arrests have already been made in that case.
There's marked police cars on the boulevard in front of the U.S. Consulate 24/7. They don't care. It takes 5 seconds to let those shots fire through the window.
Former Toronto Police homicide detective Mark Mendelson believes there are multiple levels of criminals pulling the strings who remain elusive.
If this, in fact, is being done through encrypted messaging apps, how much more difficult is it for police to find who's behind these hires?
Without question, we don't know who is the person actually engaging in all of this. Who's the one that wants that work done?
Each of those arrested in the July shooting at the Consulate were out on probation, leading to renewed calls from Toronto's top cop for the justice system to do its part through the new Bail Sentencing Reform Act.
We need proper deterrence and justice reform.
Many have shared their fear that until the new legislation is tested in court and violent offenders remain in custody, terrorizing scenes such as this will only continue.
Toronto police sharing that their investigation, which is in lockstep with the RCMP, is still ongoing as they work to uncover who's financing, directing, and organizing these gun-for-hire attacks. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning our attention to the forecast on this Thursday. The day started sunny, hot, and then all that unsettled weather that we've been talking about this week, it arrived in a big way, seeing some heavy rain today, and it definitely looks dark and a little bit stormy, although a peak of sunshine as we check in the skyline at this hour. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. You've been monitoring the radar. What are you seeing at this hour?
Yeah, at this hour, Michelle, I'm still seeing some isolated storm cells that have brought, as you mentioned, some pretty heavy downpours. Happy to report that a severe thunderstorm watch that was in place has just come to an end for many areas. However, if you're joining us from Brampton, if you're joining us from Guelph, you've got some heavy rain happening right now, just pushing toward the Milton area too. And it's showers downtown Toronto, but heavy downpours earlier on this afternoon. Those were quite heavy for the localized areas that did get them. Winds out of the southwest right now. The winds aren't particularly strong. They are going to change direction tonight to come out of the northwest. It is warm and it is muggy. It feels into the mid-30s at this hour. Here's a look at your evening. The Argos are back at home tonight at BMO Field, and we do have the lingering chance of showers, maybe a non-severe thunderstorm, and then we are mild overnight with a forecast low of 20 degrees, might get some fog, and yes, it could be an unsettled start to the day tomorrow. We'll talk all about it coming up. For now, though, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. For the second time in the span of a few weeks, Toronto police have arrested an employee at the hospital for sick children. The criminal charges relate to child sexual abuse. The Sex Crimes Unit launched their investigation back in October of 2024. They're accusing a suspect of contacting a 15-year-old through social media and chat applications and then making inappropriate comments and sending explicit images. Police executed a search warrant last week in the Don Mills and 401 area. 55-year-old Antonio Alvin de la Cruz was arrested and charged with offenses including luring a person under 18 years of age by means of telecommunication and accessing and possessing child sexual abuse and exploitation material. He appeared in court. Now, police are asking anybody with any information to get in touch. SickKids says de la Cruz was a member of its housekeeping team who was placed on leave and subsequently resigned. The hospital called the situation, quote, deeply disturbing, particularly given the recent criminal charges involving a SickKids physician. 44-year-old Dylan Dinasakiaki was arrested and charged with accessing and possessing child sexual abuse and exploitation material. SickKids added in a statement, to our knowledge, the two employees did not know or work with one another. TPS has indicated that there is no evidence linking the alleged criminal charges to the employee's work at SickKids. The hospital also said it's calling in external experts to review its current processes, controls, and safeguards preventing child harm.
Durham police are looking for a driver who took off from the scene after a pedestrian was struck in Oshawa. Emergency crews called out to the scene here at Nonquan Road and Mary Street North. That was around 10:30 this morning. The man was eventually airlifted to a Toronto hospital with life-threatening injuries. So far, there's no information on the make or model of the vehicle involved.
Meanwhile, a woman's in critical condition after a hit and run in Brampton. Emergency crews were called to the 410 northbound off-ramp to Steeles around 12:30 this morning. Paramedics say a woman was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police believe the suspect vehicle is a Jeep Cherokee that has damage to the front bumper, grille, and hood. Anyone who was in the area at the time is asked to contact Peel Police.
Toronto police are investigating after shots were fired on a residential street in Etobicoke last night. This happened just after 8 on Uno Drive near Edgecroft Road in the Royal York and Queensway area. No injuries are reported, but a firearm was found at the scene. Police say the suspect or suspects took off in a vehicle.
There are calls tonight for a provincial framework to guide the future of AI data centers in Ontario.
The facilities can put a strain on existing infrastructure and with growing opposition are becoming a topic of discussion and debate by a number of municipalities. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has more.
They've sparked intense debate in Hamilton, Toronto.
How much electricity will it consume? Can the grid support it?
Worries about AI data centers have taken hold in Mississauga, Strathroy-Caradoc.
It's too wide open. There's a lot of unknowns.
In the nation's capital, the CEO of Hydro Ottawa says pressure from big energy users, including data centers, is putting the grid under strain.
We are being asked to build in support in the next 2 to 3 years what has taken us the better part of 110 years to build.
Ontario's Green Party wants a province-wide moratorium on development of data centers.
The Ford government has failed to bring in a regulatory framework, which has left municipalities on the hook to try to develop it themselves.
There's concern about how much water data centers can soak up.
This matters because the water used to cool the computing systems housed in these facilities often comes from the same municipal systems that supply our homes, our schools, our hospitals, and local businesses.
Infrastructure that would need to be changed to accommodate new, bigger neighbors.
In return, we will get the possibility of noise, water pollution, loss of jobs, as well as our personal data weaponized against us.
Campaigning in Hamilton, where a data center pause was shot down.
I could support a moratorium, but I think, again, the most important piece of this is that communities have a voice.
On that last point, Ontario's Minister of Energy agrees.
The community's got to have a role. There's got to be benefit for the community. There's got to be 100% of the power cost paid by the company.
A spokesperson for the Minister of Economic Development says they'll continue to work with municipalities, communities, and companies as they finalize their digital infrastructure framework. But he couldn't say when it might come online.
Many of them are being built.
The Green Party accuses the government of dragging its feet.
If we don't do it now, then the horse will have left the barn, the train will have left the station, and it'll be too late to act.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
TTC subway station supervisors have voted in favor of authorizing a strike as negotiations continue over their first ever collective agreement. Those supervisors are responsible for a range of duties, but CUPE Local 5585 says the role has increasingly shifted towards responding to security incidents and other emergencies. Union leadership accused the TTC of pursuing terms that don't address safety concerns while making the job more challenging and less secure. 88 of the bargaining unit's 115 members cast ballots, and 97% said they'd support strike action if it comes to it. The TTC says it will continue to bargain with CUPE to reach a fair first contract.
The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board says slower home sales last month could be setting the stage for a market recovery. GTA Realtors reported close to 6,000 home sales in July, and that's down 0.9% from the same time last year. At the same time, new listings were down much more, sliding nearly 18% year over year. Looking at the average selling price last month, it was down 4.5% compared to July of last year at around $1,004,000.
We swung really quickly from what was an extreme seller's market in 2021 and the first part of 2022 to something that more was favoring buyers if there was a lot of negotiating power. So I think now when you look at sales, they're low, but what we've seen is a real drop off in new listings. It's been a long time since we've seen that sort of scenario unfold, and I think that could be indicative that we're kind of at the bottom of the current cycle. And if we see some support for pricing, we'll start to see more people move off the sidelines and back into the market because they'll have more confidence that the value of their investment is going to hold up over time.
With recent readings on economic growth and jobs coming back more positive than expected, Treb says stronger consumer confidence could prompt an uptick in home purchases in the months ahead.
Still ahead, Trump calls Canadian leaders nasty while the two countries continue to negotiate trade under the threat of new U.S. tariffs. The latest from Washington coming up. But first, fire crews across northern Ontario are still hard at work battling more than 150 wildfires. The most recent update from the province shows there were 3 new fires confirmed in the northwest as of yesterday night, for a total of 114. 17 fires were considered out of control. There were no new wildland fires in the northeast on Wednesday, but 42 were still burning, with 1 considered not out of control. Meanwhile, in BC, the massive effort to fight wildfires has expanded to Metro Vancouver, where some people spent a sleepless night on evacuation alert.
A wake-up call that it can happen anywhere in a province desperate for rain. CTV's Andrew Johnson has the story.
It's a rare sight on the edge of Metro Vancouver. Water drops on a wildfire that quickly led to evacuations.
It's now just very close to home for us, and this is the reality of the world that we're living in.
People in dozens of homes in Enmore were told they could be next.
We're just waiting for the signal and then get ready to go.
Others got out the hose, hoping to slow flames in the event fire arrived on their doorstep.
We are trying to save our home.
Calm winds overnight helped firefighters keep the fire contained. A scare providing a glimpse of what people are dealing with a few hundred kilometers to the east in the Okanagan, where more than 200 homes have been lost near Vernon.
It's looking like World War III, but hey, we're doing the best we can to get things back to normal and get people back into their homes.
The BC Wildfire Service is reporting progress in controlling the spread of the nearby Bradley Creek fire. Fire crews are also using drones to scan for hot spots in residential areas where structure protection teams are in place 24 hours a day. More help is on the way. 200 firefighters landed today from Mexico, earning an airport welcome from the Premier.
Chance for firefighting crews in the province to catch their breath and be able to recover from what is a very demanding, hot, exhausting, and quite dirty job that they're doing to support British Columbians.
The smoke from wildfires in BC and Washington state is still leading to air quality warnings here in Metro Vancouver. But interestingly, it may be helping fire crews in the Okanagan. The BC Wildfire Service says the thick blanket of heavy smoke is actually helping to block the sun and reduce fire behavior. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Canada's top trade officials were back at the negotiating table in Washington a day after the leaders of both countries traded barbs.
The clock is ticking to reach a deal with a new set of U.S. tariffs set to kick in. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecouteur reports.
Canada's minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade was overtly optimistic heading into his meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Dominic LeBlanc says he's hopeful a deal can be reached before 50% tariffs kick in August 19th. A clear contrast to President Donald Trump's comments Wednesday night.
Canada's nasty. They're nasty.
At an aluminum plant hit hard by American tariffs, Prime Minister Carney had a more measured tone.
C'est une négociation tough.
He called the negotiations tough, conceding one could also use the word nasty. Carney made no apologies for wanting a comprehensive deal that addresses tariffs on the steel, aluminum, auto, and forestry sectors.
Will we get all of that by the 19th of August? We'll see, but we want to have pathways in order to get that.
Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre says Carney hasn't been tough enough, adding Canada got nothing for removing counter tariffs on the U.S. and for ditching the digital services tax on American tech firms.
We're calling on him to take the leverage that he has not yet squandered, take it to the bargaining table, and get something in return for a change.
There has been a suggestion to leverage our energy and potash exports to the U.S. Well, that move could also impact Canadians. This former special advisor on Canada-U.S. relations to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau believes it shouldn't be discounted.
In the sense that we know it would have tremendous impact on the U.S. and be very effective leverage in this relationship right now.
Canada's supply-managed dairy sector has been an irritant to the Americans in these negotiations. Carney defended the decades-old policy, saying it helps consumers and farmers. Hardly a shock, considering he was also campaigning with his candidate for a by-election in Quebec at the end of the month. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
As Europe grapples with blistering temperatures, Italy has put all its major cities on the highest heat alert. People in Rome are doing everything they can to stay cool. The red alert issued by the country's health ministry covers 27 cities, stretching from Palermo in the south to Bolzano in the north. The warning says the prolonged high temperatures pose a serious health risk to the entire population. It was more than 40 degrees today in several areas of the northern region. Meantime, Austria set a national temperature record, and Hungary has switched off the lights at state institutions to save energy.
The case of the Canadian allegedly spying on NATO is forcing the Carney government to confront more questions about holes in its national security vetting process. CTV senior correspondent Judy Trin has the details.
As he announced the creation of a new quantum innovation hub at the University of Calgary, Defense Minister David McGuinty was asked why the government cleared an alleged spy to work at NATO.
It's very difficult for me to make a comment about an ongoing judicial matter in a foreign country, Belgium.
CTV News identified the accused spy as Claire Biwei Jiang, who began working for the federal government as a student in 2017. LinkedIn shows Zhang worked for the National Research Council, Statistics Canada, and possibly the Canadian Space Agency. The incident is prompting a review of vetting across all departments.
The government is seized with the need to improve overall the approach to security clearances, not just for these kinds of positions, but jobs involving public service, contractors who are working on defense contracts.
Court records show Zhang submitted a fraudulent application for a CBSA job. Despite that red flag, she still managed to get an internship at SHAPE, NATO's military command center in Mons, Belgium.
Well, Mr. Carney has some questions to answer. How is it that this individual was not captured in the vetting process originally, but that other countries and governments were able to have the intelligence to find this troubling information?
As a graduate student in Ottawa, Dang researched artificial intelligence and self-driving vehicles. Last year, CSIS issued a warning about spies affiliated with China targeting the academic community. The risk of intellectual property being stolen by Beijing looms again.
Look, we're going to have to be vigilant.
CSIS screened about 130,000 applications last year. The spy agency said it had also previously disrupted a Chinese operation to recruit former military personnel. The agency did not say if it came across Biwei Jiang's name in past investigations. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Washington, a Senate committee voted today to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress and refer him to the Justice Department for potential prosecution.
Dr. Fauci faced no risk of federal prosecution. All he had to do was tell the truth. More than 100 times, though, he refused. The chair ruled that Dr. Fauci's assertion of the Fifth Amendment privilege was unsupported in light of the pardon and the testimony he offered in his opening statement.
The vote focused on Fauci's refusal to answer questions at a hearing last week on his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination more than 100 times, noting he's already testified on the topic many times. Fauci's lawyer called this morning's vote partisan and accused Senator Rand Paul of abusing his power by trying to weaponize the Justice Department.
Images released today show traces of the impact after part of a rocket slammed into the moon. The second stage of a Falcon 9 rocket crashed into the lunar surface at around 2:35 Wednesday morning. The 4-ton school bus-sized object was traveling at more than 8,600 kilometers per hour. SpaceX said the debris was expected to hit near the Einstein crater on the moon's western side, which is often difficult to see from Earth. A combination of solar activity and gravity accidentally put it on a collision course with the moon. 2 astronauts were busy outside the International Space Station today, and they're getting the exterior ready for the installation of roll-out solar arrays. The arrays will provide the orbiting lab with additional power. They're scheduled for delivery later this year. The astronauts were out for close to 6.5 hours.
There's another high-flying adventurer who's getting a lot of attention down here on Earth. That's 97-year-old Betty Bromage. She's the world's oldest female wing walker. This is her on Tuesday, beating her own record set 4 years ago. The senior from England spent 5 minutes in the air, saying the ride was great, but a bit bumpy. Betty insists she's not a nervous person, and the word can't is not in her vocab. This was her 6th wing walk, the first when she was 87. This time she raised money for a local hospital.
Coming up, imagine coming across a coyote in your home. It happened to a family in the Christie Pitts area. The tale of the unwanted visitor still ahead.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, many of us use social media to post photos and videos and to connect with family and friends. But what happens if the platform you use kicks you off? More people say they're being booted from social media apps and they can't get back on. All of that story, that's just ahead.
So we have entered a bit of an unsettled weather pattern with the chance of showers and the risk of thunderstorms expected over the next couple of days here. Perhaps you're headed to Jerkfest or Taste of the Danforth. There will be a couple of opportunities for some active weather Friday and Saturday, but Sunday is looking great. And temperature-wise, we're pretty consistent through the early part of next week with a bit of a cool down coming for the end of next week. Stay with us. Your 7-day forecast is coming up next.
About 9 out of 10 Canadians use at least one social media platform every week, and some of us are on them for hours a day.
Some people use social media and it's a huge part of their lives. So what happens if you're kicked off a platform with no chance of returning? Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Nathan and Michelle. Many people use social media to stay in touch with family and friends and to post photos and videos. But some apps have been blocking users from their platforms and deleting their accounts, even though users say they've done nothing wrong. Letitia Van Roombeck of Toronto has had her Instagram account for 16 years. She uses it to post photos and videos and stay in touch with contacts she's made around the world. It's why 2 months ago she was shocked when she was locked out of her account.
My sister texted me, I was at work, and she goes, "Did you delete your Instagram? Disable your Instagram?" And I was like, "What?" So I quickly go on Instagram and I see a page that says your account's been disabled.
Van Roombeck says her account was blocked after she was told she had posted something that violated community guidelines. She felt she hadn't, and when her mother tried to help her back on the platform, she was locked out.
She tried to start another account and the same message came through. So it's almost like it banned her from Instagram totally for no reason.
Van Roombeck was not told what posts caused the problems. Meta Pro Team said in an email, Meta already acknowledged an error with your Instagram account. You cannot request another review. Meta has finalized their decision.
It's just so derailing for something that's been my go-to for 16 years since I'm since I'm a teen to an adult now.
No one really knows why their accounts were suspended.
Technology analyst Carmi Levy says most content on social media platforms is reviewed by AI bots, so they can misinterpret photos as being offensive when they're completely harmless. He says once you're kicked off a platform, it can be almost impossible to get back on.
There are no humans involved in this process. AI determines that the account is over the line. AI determines whether they get reinstated or not, and there's simply no opportunity to speak to a human who can help them.
Van Roombeck is glad she has some of her precious memories from other sources, but says Meta should be using people to flag inappropriate content and not AI.
I just hope that they get humans on it and bad guys out, good guys keep their stuff.
And a good plan is don't put all your social media content in one basket in case you're locked out. You should back up photos, videos, and contacts to different sources so you'll have access to it if a platform does kick you off. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, to the forecast. I was inside all day, but I wonder how many might have been caught in that rain a little earlier.
I hope no one was caught in that rain. It was a super soaker, the kind of heavy rain that, if you're out there, you're soak right down to your underwear.
I'm going to be honest. I'm honestly wondering right now if I left my windows open in my vehicle.
No.
By the time I saw it was pouring rain outside, it was too late to do anything about it because it was very hot and humid earlier. So I did crack the windows. Oh boy, we'll see at the end of the day how that's all looking. But yes, some areas in the GTA still seeing some heavy downpours right now. But this is what it looked like earlier today. I could understand if you looked out your window this morning and thought, hey, it's going to be a beautiful one. Although we did warn that there was the possibility of showers and storms through this afternoon. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, sunshine, heat, humidity, all acting as fuel for a few storms today. Severe thunderstorm watch has come to an end, but it's looking rather dark right now around the city skyline compared to earlier today. Let me show you the current satellite and radar so you can see we've got a juicy little cell right now around the Malton area moving over toward where Highway 401 and 427 meet. And it looks like, yeah, some of this is going to make its way toward downtown Toronto or the west end of downtown where the Argos are preparing to play their first game back at BMO Field. But these should be fast moving. You'll notice that it's dry in many areas. The sun is shining in some areas too. But yes, the kind of day it's been today has been one of very isolated cells and storms with heavy downpours, heavy amounts of rain, fast moving. And that pattern is going to continue into the day tomorrow. So forecast radar, we're going to pause this a couple of times. There's around 8 o'clock tonight. Then things should settle down. We should be drier, some fog tomorrow morning, and perhaps some heavy downpours. I don't like to see this in the Niagara region. I know you don't need any more rain, but just a heads up that some wet weather, thunderstorms possible tomorrow morning. This I like to see around 6 p.m. tomorrow. We could be dry here in the GTA, so anyone heading out to festivities, festivals to kick off the weekend, that should be a good sight for you. Into Saturday morning, more in the way of thunderstorm activity, and I'll pause this again just to show you the risk of storms Saturday afternoon, mainly north of Toronto in through parts of Cottage Country. But we could continue to hang on to the threat of a few storms into Saturday evening before things really dry out beautifully for Sunday. Wall-to-wall sunshine is expected. A few showers could creep their way into some parts of Cottage Country once again for Sunday afternoon. But overall, Sunday is your more safe bet for spending time outside. Speaking of outside, it is very muggy out there still. 26 degrees the temperature, 34 the humidex, and overnight tonight, this is a bit warm for an overnight low. 20 degrees here locally in Toronto. Again, tomorrow it is likely to feel like the mid-30s, 27 the forecast daytime high. And as we've been discussing, it is going to be an unsettled day tomorrow. Not an all-day washout, but the possibility of a few rounds of showers or storms. And it's a similar situation into Saturday. So perhaps not the best looking weekend forecast. Sunday, there's a lot to like. Monday, we're back into the chance of showers. Temperatures are pretty consistent until the end of next week when we are going to cool down and be slightly below seasonal into next weekend. That's the weather for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, his jokes seem to track, delivering punchlines on the transit line. Meet the TTC's most popular PA announcer later in the newscast.
Well, as we count down to the return of the Taste of the Danforth, the federal government is joining the city and province in providing funding. Organizers announced last night for the first time in the festival's history, all three levels of government are pitching in. Ottawa is giving $100,000 toward this year's festival, which is happening this weekend. The announcement comes after local politicians and community leaders sent an open letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney expressing their, quote, profound disappointment that Ottawa was not chipping in.
You know, there were people that were NDP, conservative liberals, and they said, hey, we can't agree upon much, but we can agree that it's important and symbolic to have this iconic festival come back. And we can't argue with that. It's really something that regardless of your political persuasion, regardless of the level of the government, you know, the province, you know, with Premier Ford, the mayor, Chow, they said, our people have told us that it's important and we're going to put our money where our beliefs are. And, you know, it just took a little longer for the feds.
Taste of the Danforth begins tomorrow and runs through Sunday.
The Toronto International Film Festival is out with the lineup for this year's Midnight Madness screenings. Midnight Madness, known for its screenings of what organizers call the best of the bizarre in contemporary genre and underground cinema. The opening night film will be the world premiere of Josh Giuliano's thriller River. Filmmaker Matthew Rankin will debut a satirical take on the rise of Canada's 18th Prime Minister, titled Ladies and Gentlemen, Brian Mulroney. Comic book adaptation Rogue Trooper will be the closing night film. The full TIFF schedule is out next week.
After the break, more Canadians are only able to make minimum monthly credit card payments because of increased pressure on household finances. The results of a new cost of living survey next. On the markets, the Canadian dollar is up to $71.35 US. West Texas Intermediate oil is up over $2 to $77.29 US a barrel. And the TSX didn't move much, losing just 10 points.
A few days after their strike, the union representing WestJet cabin crew is sharing details of their tentative deal with the airline. CUPE says it includes a more than 18% wage hike over 3 years, along with increased time off and higher food and uniform allowances. It also features a new duty period premium, which adds compensation for work done on the ground. All WestJet flights were grounded Sunday as 4,400 flight attendants walked off the job. They returned after news of the deal Monday. A ratification vote is set for the coming weeks.
BCE says record audiences for the FIFA World Cup helped drive Bell Media revenues higher to $918 million in the second quarter. The company cited strong demand for commercial space during the 104 matches it aired. The number of subscribers to Bell's streaming service Crave also reached nearly 5.1 million. Meanwhile, the company reported slower growth in sales of postpaid cell phone plans, citing fewer promotions and slower population growth. CTV News is a division of Bell Media.
A new survey finds a quarter of Canadians say they are only able to afford minimum monthly payments on their credit cards each month. That's according to a new survey from Equifax. Another 7% believe they are likely to fall behind on payments. 56% said they do expect to pay their balances in full each month. The findings come as 40% report spending more overall than they were a year ago. That's compared to 18% who say they are spending less. The agency says the results point to increased pressure on our household finances. 67% of respondents say they have reduced entertainment and leisure expenses, while 40% have cut spending on personal care.
For a second straight day, another nail-biter for Blue Jays fans as their team went into extras again this afternoon.
Cubs trying to keep rolling after they just swept the Dodgers. Michael Busch takes double steal, throw to third, gets away. PCA's going to score, and the Cubs win it.
A throwing error in the 11th allowed the winning run to come in. The visiting Jays led 2-0 for most of the game before Chicago tied it up in the bottom of the ninth. This was a makeup game after an earlier meeting was postponed because of rain. Toronto begins a 3-game set in Philadelphia tomorrow night.
Tempo run. To the corner, Conde for three. Conde lighting it up right now. 11 points, 3 of 4 from outside.
The Toronto Tempo are in the midst of a 7-game losing skid, but will try to get back in the win column against the Fire tonight. All-star guard Marina Mabrey leads Toronto into the game in Portland. She's averaging 20.6 points per game this season.
Motion to go inside. They go Tempo again. Deep look, wide open, touchdown.
The Toronto Argonauts finally play their first game at the revamped BMO Field tonight. The Boatmen are coming off a bye week to host the Calgary Stampeders. The Argos opened the season with 7 straight road games after the stadium was, of course, used during the FIFA World Cup, but they were listed as the home team in 3 of those games.
Finishing with a flourish.
Leila Fernandez is the last Canadian standing in either men's or women's singles play at the National Bank Open. The native of Laval, Quebec, breezed past her opponent 6-2, 6-2 in Toronto last night. She now moves on to the third round. The third seed faces Russia's Mira Andreeva tomorrow. And on the men's side, Felix Auger-Aliassime had to withdraw before his opening match yesterday. He injured his back during a practice session 2 days earlier. Fellow Montreal Gabriel Diallo also had to pull out following an apparent leg injury during his opening match. And Richmond Hill's Denis Shapovalov is also sidelined after suffering an ankle injury.
Just ahead, he calls himself Uncle Coffee, and he's spreading positivity one stop at a time. The story behind the TTC operator giving riders something to smile about.
Finally tonight, he's become a viral sensation, a TTC subway operator known for his cheerful messages.
CTV's Beth McDonnell reports Alex Crawford, who goes by Uncle Coffee, is using his PA system to spread positivity.
Now, I don't know what the technical term for this is, but what you're looking at is a beautiful day.
This is the voice of Uncle Coffee.
Listen to me when I say every little thing will be okay.
For the past 3 months, his quirky, insightful, and delightful announcements have been bringing joy to riders.
Very sweet. It made my day. I have to go into work, so I was very nervous because it's a new job, but it made me very happy.
It's beautiful. I think it's inspirational for me.
Now this is Uncle Coffee in the flesh. His name is Alex Crawford. He's a TTC operator who had been thinking of a way to make the job more enjoyable.
I thought, well, I have a microphone right here. Maybe people will be interested and happy to hear that somebody is wishing them a good day.
Your Uncle Coffee wrote a haiku. It's entitled Yorkville.
But aside from the fun, there's a serious side behind what led to Crawford's proclamations. After overcoming a relapse with alcohol, he returned to work. The announcements employ a similar technique to when he quit drinking years before.
Please remember to grab all your personal items, belongings, and especially children.
What helped me maintain sobriety, find a new passion, a new joy, and maintain that, and that was the world of comedy, stand-up comedy, improv comedy. So this is an outlet stemming from all of that.
If you ride the Line 2 subway regularly, you might just catch an Uncle Coffee announcement by surprise. But you have an even better chance Monday to Friday between Broadview and Ossington. For Crawford, the feedback has been incredible. The announcements are being shared online and viewed by thousands. Riders are praising Uncle Coffee, some even writing he should get a raise. And the thank yous are also reaching him in person.
Most recently, I received a note, and it was absolutely lovely. I don't know your name, but it was the best subway ride I ever had. There was this man in front of me who was crying. He smiled after you said those words.
What were those words? Do you know what they are?
You got this. Everything will be okay.
It's an experience filling him with an immense sense of gratitude.
It's amazing. It is a level of joy that It's a level of joy that I wasn't expecting, nor did I think possible.
Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Oh, what a great story. And we are tracking some active weather at this hour, some thunderstorms, heavy downpours certainly around Mississauga and Etobicoke. And there could be a little more before we're finished with the night. Your 7-day forecast shows unsettled conditions for tomorrow and Saturday. Sunday, however, is looking fabulous. How great is Uncle Coffee?
We've fallen in love.
He was just a beautiful story. It was touching.
All the best, Uncle Coffee. Thanks for spreading all that positivity. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Pauline Chan, who has your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Lindsay Moore for Lindsay and all of us here at CTV News. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night.
Bye, Uncle Coffee.